bonjour et rebonjour. And today we are going to do passé composé, which is, you can say, past tense. And when you will be doing the formation of the tense, passé composé, you will feel like, oh, I have done something like past perfect tense in English. That's what you're going to feel like, but that is actually the formation of the tense. Okay, now passé composé uses actually être and avoir's present form when you are making passé composé. I'm going to explain you in a very simple language. I'm not going to use this and that of grammar. So two things to notice: être and avoir are going to get used when you are making passé composé, and how. One thing to remember is that first, when your subject is moving, then you use être, then you use être, like I am a physical body. So when I am moving, I am arriving at a station. So this is my body that is arriving. So I is a subject. So when your subject is moving, either it could be name of a person or it could be just like I, you, he, she, they. That becomes a je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous. Or a proper name like Marcel, Cecilia, Sylvie, anything. So when a physical body is moving, that is your subject. When the subject is moving, then you use être. And second step that is to notice is when your object is moving, then you will use avoir. Now, according to your French, what you have learned in the sentence formation is that sujet, verb, objet is your rule. So when this will move, you will use this one. When this will move, then you will use avoir. Now, that is, going to make you a bit complicated when you are a very beginner. But if you have somewhere learned French and you know something about making passé composé, then your basic problem that is coming is that there are so many verbs and some are getting used. Some verbs are having être and some verbs are having avoir. How do I get to know? So this is how you get to know when subject is moving and when the object is moving. So that is what you have to get in your head before you learn passé composé. Because there are 2000 verbs in French and we use only approximately maximum to maximum 200 verbs or 250 verbs, not more than that, but still you need to know this. Okay, now let's move forward towards the formation of the passé composé. Now we are going to take one verb, that is the very basic verb parler, which means to speak. And now I want to say in present I speak, so I will say je parle, but I want to say I spoke. I need spoke. I already have I. So that is je spoke. So parler is such a verb where I am not going to physically move anywhere, but something is going to get out of my mouth, and that is a word. Okay, now the logic behind maximum ER verbs is that they are going to have avoir. How? This is your subject plus avoir conjugated as you have your subject, which I can say conjugated according to your subject, and then the past participle form spoke, which I need actually. So for verbs having er, no matter which verb, even alle, so what do you do is you remove r, you put e with an accent, avec an accent. So This is, now let's move forward. Now I have to change my avoir according to my subject, which is actually j'ai, and now it becomes j'ai parlé. Now if you start doing the literal translation in your head, like I spoke, I wanted to write, but I have made it I have, you would say it's spoken. So I have is having verb third form, which is spoken. I have spoken, he has spoken. So in French it is I have spoken. That's what you're gonna feel like, but it is I spoke. So this is simple tense, because there is one more tense which is known as plus que parfait. There you will say that yes, now this is I had spoken, but over here it is just simple I spoke. That's it. I spoke. Tu as parlé. You wanna understand it as in like you have spoken, it's okay, fine, but you should literally understand what you are writing. Tu as parlé. Il a parlé. The usage of this tense and the literal meaning of these verbs when conjugated becomes something else, but it is actually simply past tense, passé composé, and it is very frequently used, very often used tense. Now this is going to go very same, and you will keep on changing your verb avoir according to your personal pronoun. And let's take one more verb, like demander, which means to ask. Demander means to ask, not demand. So demander means to ask, as in English. Now er verb, so this is how your demander will look like, and as I've already told you, with maximum of these verbs you use avoir, so this one is also going to use avoir. Let's do the same as we have done in this part. It's j'ai demandé, tu as demandé. So this will go on, and as I always say that you could use le conjugal le figaro for just verification or just for the correction on your own for your work done. You could use le conjugal le figaro for just checking up your conjugaison for the verbs you're doing, and even for the list if you need for making passé composé. Okay, now let's make two sentences with the verbs we have done. J'ai parlé. I spoke something. So quelque, Q-U-E-L, Q-U-E, quelque chose. I spoke something, something is quelque chose. Tu as parlé. You have spoken or you spoke with my mother, with my mother. Avec ma mère. You spoke with my mother. Okay, demander. Vous avez demandé. Vous avez demandé quelque chose. Vous avez demandé mon livre. Yeah, this one is fine. Vous avez demandé mon livre. You asked or you have asked for my book. For is not written. French is not going to go with English literal translation. So just understand the vibe of the sentences. Vous avez demandé mon livre. If I put sign of exclamation, then it will be like vous avez demandé mon livre. So yes, I spoke very fast. If I put a question mark, this will be turning into your question, you don't need to put question word specifically. Your intonation makes the simple sentence even sound like a question. Vous avez demandé mon livre? So that is how you ask. Okay. J'ai demandé le thé. I asked for the tea. J'ai demandé le thé. Okay, that you could do in the hotel. J'ai demandé le thé. Okay, so these are very simple sentences. Okay, and now there are many verbs which are actually coming from your third house, third group, and even from your second house, second group, which are having irregular endings. So you will have to memorize them anyhow, because I cannot give you for all the verbs their perfect endings. I will try to put the very frequently used verbs in the ending of these verbs for very basic level, 10 or 15 verbs maybe that you could see, but either ways you could simply use le conjugal le figaro again. Okay, now the verb is like lire, which means to read. Lire, to read. Now this verb is again having subject as in je, avoir as in a, and lu. Lire verb is coming from third group. So there we have a problem that you will have to remember these verbs. The past participle form you will have to remember. Le conjugal le figaro again I can say for this. Okay, and for this you could do. Now from first category verb we have this verb arriver. When you use this verb arriver from first category, from first group, there is an er. Okay, for making past participle I put this. Now but in this case I have to understand, arriver is a verb where a person physically arrives at a place from somewhere to somewhere. That's what you can say. Now je suis arrivé. I am arrived. Now I arrived, you can say. I am arrived, that you will understand if you will try to do the translation, because actually suis, which means am in English, if you want to say, which is a form of être with je. So I want to tell you that with verbs like this, where your subject is moving, you use être. That is how it is. Je suis arrivé, il est arrivé, Macron. Macron is the name of a person. Macron est arrivé. Macron has arrived. Macron has come. Macron came. Whatever you feel like making the sense out of this sentence. Now, remember, there are approximately 24 verbs in passé composé which actually use both être and avoir. But the meaning, when we slip from one point to the other, like from être to avoir, when you're using être for the first time, the meaning is something else, and when you're using avoir for the second time with the same verb, then the meaning is something else. So there are approximately, out of whole 1900 plus verbs, there are only 24 verbs, which makes it around 24. What I have read till now, there are only 24. So I will be putting them all in the end of this video. And for passé composé, you have to do a lot big practice, because this is also the same formation, which is actually going to change a bit. Here you're using present form, and if you want to make plus parfait, which I'm going to teach you actually in the next video, so there you will be using some other form of this être, and even for avoir. So do practice passé composé a lot. Françaisfacile.com is a site where you can do the practice while solving some exercises. So do a lot of practice, and yes, I will be leaving all those 24, not all, but whatever I could find, the verbs which use both être and avoir in passé composé, and the meaning is changed. And if you have any doubts, I hope there are, and if you have, please do write them in the comments. Merci beaucoup, bonne journée et au revoir.